Hey, 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 happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, not only thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief, but also Polar Vortex 9. And I will be talking about our sponsor in just a few moments. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, February 6th, 2025. This is live stream number 1150. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And throughout the month of February, I am sharing live unboxings and first looks on each and every episode of the Dispatch. Tonight, we are going to dive on in and take a peek at the incredibly heavy Land of Eem Deluxe edition from Exalted Funeral. That's right, it did arrive today. Look at the size of this thing. We are going to dive on in and take a peek in just a bit. Should mention, if you are tuning in and you're not familiar with the show and you're stopping by to watch the live unboxing, I do want to point out we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So it's probably going to be about 30 minutes before we get into that unboxing. Now, of course, if you're watching live, just kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. We'll get to the unboxing. But of course, if you are watching after the fact, maybe on Memorex, keep in mind, there are timestamps in the show notes, as well as right there in the timeline of the video. So if you want to just jump past tabletop gaming news, which I don't know why you'd want to, we're going to talk about some really cool stuff. But if you want to just get right on into that unboxing, you'll be able to use those timestamps. Nice. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live show, there's chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 whole minutes before you can take part in chat. But if you check those boxes and you want to say howdy, by all means, fire away, get a question, comment, let me have it. I'll do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight, we have got the Madman, one of our chat moderators, as well as Semper Buffo, Bradley Thorpe, Lewin RX, Sean O'Donnell, Kathy Evans, Testy Trekkie is also with us tonight. Very nice. Very cool. We got our chat rocking and rolling already. Sweet. All right, so let's talk about the sponsor of the Dispatch. That's right. We are sponsored by Polar Vortex 9. That's right, Polar Vortex 2025, which is taking place February 14th through the 16th at the Lyle Naperville Sheraton Hotel. I will actually be there, as will my very best friend, Elliot Miller, and my brother, Greg. We're going to be hanging out. Of course, if you are stopping on by, be sure to say hello if you see us. Hoping that'll happen. I gotta say, unfortunately, for some strange reason, my teleprompter is not showing me the sponsor, like press info at the moment. I don't know why. It's like, what the hell's going on here? But I can tell you there are loads and loads of cool events going on. There is going to be the Catan qualifier. So you've got that. There is a Gaslands tournament. Elliot and I are playing Gaslands. I don't know if we're going to actually be in the tournament. The Dungeons and Dragons Adventurers League, as well as the Pathfinder and Starfinder societies. There is the Paint and Take. There are miniature painting seminars, contests. There's going to be a costume contest. Loads of stuff going on over those 3 days. So, of course, if you want to learn more, you can always stop on by polarvortex.games. Or if you want to register for the convention, you can always pop on by tabletop.events. Sweet. We're looking forward to checking this out. Sean O'Donnell says Steve Jackson Games was listed as a Polar Vortex sponsor. No idea. No idea. I steered clear of them. I don't even really discuss them. So it's, like I said, yeah. My fault, their fault. You know, nobody's hands are clean in that. Although, funny enough, I think what I did was probably a lot shittier. But anyway, Bradley Thorpe is asking if RuneQuest is worth getting into. This is what I tell everybody if they're curious about RuneQuest. I recommend pick up the starter set. Starter set's about $30. It's got quite a lot of content in it. It's not like it's got a beginning adventure that's going to take 3-4 hours to complete, and that's it. There's quite a lot to it. So that'll give you an idea if RuneQuest is going to be for you. Get the starter set and take it from there. Cleveland RX says, this polar vortex is a little icy. Yeah, thankfully, well, fingers crossed, we don't experience a polar vortex for polar vortex number 9. Hope not. All right, let's jump on into the news because Modiphius Entertainment is going to be releasing Forgotten Ruin, the adventure war game next month. And I've got the skinny. The battlefield has never looked like this. A time of danger, a secret mission, mysterious tech, and now you and your platoon of rangers are in a strange world inhabited by orcs, sorcerers, and dragons. Forgotten Ruin, the adventure war game, takes you to the strangest battlefield yet, pitting state-of-the-art firepower against fantastical monsters. Just hope the orc horde runs out before the ammunition does. Based on the Forgotten Ruin book series, the rules are powered by the 5X game system from 5 Leagues from the Borderlands and 5 Parsecs from home, unleashing the same solo adventuring thrills. Command your squad while the game rules control your enemies as they move and fight. You can even play with a friend by splitting your squad into 2 fire teams, or designating one of you to control the enemy like a game master. This adventure war game offers an exciting mix of tabletop tactics for miniature figures and randomly generated campaign play, providing a unique, story-rich experience. Inside this 160-page full-color hardback book, you'll find full rules for miniatures combat on strange battlefields, including powerful heavy weapons, leadership tactics to customize your squad, spells, and off-map fire support. Stats for an array of foes to fight, 20 enemy forces with 6 different types, such as assassins or archers, as well as 20 huge monsters to challenge your firepower. Rules that turn enemy champions into recurring villains. Campaign rules, objectives, and rewards, including magical treasures, advancements, and, best of all, Transformations. Ever wanted to be a centaur with a machine gun, an elf sniper, or just a squad leader with a spell book? Your soldiers will not remain the way they were, and the changes can be quite unpredictable. You can order the 160-page hardcover right now. The book's going to carry an MSRP of around $45. I have gotten conflicting reports on that MSRP. I think if you order it from Modiphius, it's $44.30 cents. Of course, that kind of changes because of the exchange rates, of course. Funny enough, I have not read the Forgotten Ruin series, but I did listen to the Galaxy's Edge audiobooks. I liked them a lot. Kind of weird that they kind of alternate. Like every other book is trying to like out Star Wars. And then the like odd number books are more sort of like military science fiction. It's kind of bizarre. I kind of get the impression that the two authors kind of switch off, although they're both, credited as co-authors on each book. I kind of get the feeling that Jason, I think it's Anspach is his last name. I think he does more of the military stuff. And then the other author, for some reason, I want to say his name is Nate Cole or something like that, does like more of the Star Wars stuff. Because I understand Forgotten Ruin is Jason Anspach, however his last name is pronounced. Kind of cool, kind of interesting, though. It's a premise that we see from time to time. In fact, I remember the two books. Oh, gosh. It was it Brian Aldiss? The Starfarers of Coromand. I can't remember the sequel to it. I loved those books. They were excellent, where it's a squad from Vietnam. It's transported to this fantasy world. It was really well done. Sorry to say it's only 2 books in length, and the audiobooks are awful. The audiobooks are from like the 90s, and it's really dry. Sort of like, okay, all right. But books themselves, or were they? No, you know what? I think they were Brian Daley. That's who I think it was. It might have been Brian Daley who wrote those. Yes. Good stuff. Good stuff. Kevin King is with us in chat. Good to see you, Kevin. Currently up on Kickstarter is The Conquest of Chaos from Dragon Peak Publishing. Here's what I know. The Conquest of Chaos is an adventure campaign for levels 0 through 5, compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics. Supported by gorgeous art from Peter Mullen and Hodog, this campaign pits the player characters against giants, demons, and the primal forces of chaos. The campaign overview includes Race Against Flame. It's a level 0 adventure, escape from fearsome fire giants and back to their home world, where demons roost. For level 1 characters, heal a gargantuan holy tree poisoned by the forces of chaos. Then there's the Cyclopean Storm. Level 2, explore the ruins of the flying city of Luputa. They're going to guess that's how it's pronounced. And discover its curse. Then there's the Savage Scions of the Sea for level 3 characters. Infiltrate an island fortress filled with hundreds of sea giants. Wow, and you're only level 3? Which really equates to level 6 D&D wise, but still, that's a lot of giants, huh? Then there's Reforging the Stone King. For level 4, fight back stone giants who have broken into the royal dwarven crypts. And then Damnation is Eternal. For level 5, in order to save the world of Earth, The PCs must journey to a chaos realm. This is designed for ease of play and great for all gamers. Both the funnel and level 1 adventure, Race Against Flame and Where Demons Roost, have been designed to help teach the Dungeon Crawl Classic system to new players and judges, while also being thoroughly entertaining to experienced gamers. It's different styles of adventure because each adventure has its own unique feel. Different environments, monsters, challenges, and the dungeon design approaches make them all stand out and keep everyone interested. And they're easy to run. References to other sections within the book always include page numbers. Expect thorough hyperlinking and useful bookmarks in the PDF. There'll be appendices for optional rules and table locations, a glossary of notable items, and annotated versions of the maps to make running the adventures as easy as possible. There is a very short, less than a minute in length, video, so let's take a peek.
The Conquest of Chaos is a campaign path for levels 0 to 5, compatible with Dungeon Crawl Classics RPG. This campaign pits the PCs against giants, demons, and the primal forces of chaos. It includes 6 adventures starting with the level 0 funnel, Race Against Flame. The PCs must escape from fearsome fire giants back to their homeworld. Then we have the level 1 adventure, Where Demons Roost. Level 2, the Cyclopean Storm. Level 3, Savage Scions of the Sea. Level 4, Reforging the Stone King. And the level 5 finale, Damnation is Eternal. Backers have the opportunity to pick up exclusive swag only available during the campaign. Back now and join the fight against chaos.
You can reserve a copy of the Conquest of Chaos in print and PDF for a $40 pledge, or grab just the PDF for a $20 pledge over at BackerKit through February 21st. Expected delivery is this July. Gotta say, it looks pretty cool. Artwork looks really solid. Dragon Peak Publishing does release quite a bit for Dungeon Crawl Classics. These are some folks who've been around for a while, so this isn't some fly-by-night company. It's like, oh, look, it's our first crowdfunding project or anything like that. So you might want to take a peek. Looks pretty cool. All right, on to our next news piece. Oh, actually, I should point out, W Forge is with us in chat. Good to see you once again. Now let's move on to the next news piece, because the 4th edition of the Champions role-playing game from Hero Games is once again featured by Bundle of Holding, and I've got the deets on the deal. It's back again, Hero. We've resurrected, for a second time, the April 2017 Champions 4th Edition Essentials Bundle with nearly 30 tabletop role-playing PDFs, supplements, rulebooks, adventures from the nigh legendary 4th edition of Champions, the super role-playing game from Hero Games. Starting in 1989 with the Giant Champions 4E Core Rulebook, otherwise known as the Big Blue Book, dozens of 4th edition titles defined and developed the superhero role-playing game field. If you missed these lively and imaginative 4E books in their 2 previous appearances, now you've got a new chance to join the fight for justice. This revival's jaw-dropping core collection gives you more than 1,900 pages of 4-color superheroic role-playing material, 13 DRM-free PDFs for just $14.99. The 354-page Big Blue Book itself and the Hero System Rulebook, which was extracted from it, plus classic enemies and organizations, Primus and Viper 4E, Normals Unbound and Allies, Hero Bestiary 4th Edition, and more. With just these books, Champions Game Masters have run campaigns lasting decades. That's just the start. Because if you pay more than the current threshold price of $30.53, you'll level up and also get this revival's entire bonus collection with 15 more titles worth an additional $105, including Dark Champions, Heroes of Vengeance for 4E, Golden Age Champions, the 4E versions of Ultimate Martial Artist and Ultimate Mentalist. So I was trying to put those back together at one time, huh? Trying to combine both those words. Yes. There's also Ultimentalist. There's the Ultimate Super Mage and Super Mage Bestiary, plus Mystic Masters, challenges for champions, and both Champions Presents anthologies. And no, they have not forgotten Champions New Millennium, as well as its 2 supplements. Loads and loads of goodies. We already talked about the other Heroes Campaigns bundle yesterday. And there is a second Champions bundle that's also running with this too. So I think altogether there are 79 PDFs. I think that's what it totals out to. If you get all 3 together, pretty wild, pretty wild. Gotta say, these savings will run through February 24th. I really didn't have a lot of experience with Champions. A little bit with the first edition when that first came out. And we were kind of going through superhero role-playing games. In fact, when I was in high school, we just went through role-playing games, period. So we had like villains and vigilantes, champions, anything that kind of floated out there, we'd pick up. And I know 4th edition Champions is really well regarded. I think part of it too is because they got George Perez to do some of the cover artwork, which is pretty wild, seeing that he is of the Marvel and DC fame, where he would like try to squeeze as many characters as possible on the covers. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Walona's Cave is with us. Said they just saw Dungeon Crawl Classics books in Barnes and Nobles. It was a nice surprise. Cool. Very sweet. Strangely enough, you know what I couldn't find in a Barnes and Nobles? Was Dungeons and Dragons. I thought that was really weird. That's why I got my Dungeon Master's Guide 2024 through Amazon, because I was over at a Barnes and Noble and they didn't have anything. I was like, oh, that's weird. All right. Okay. Glimmin RX says Amazon has Dark Tower on sale for $73 for the Dungeon Crawl Classics version. Oh. Oh, I so much want to pull the trigger on that. I really do. Really do. I'll have to take a peek. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Reading Aid is with us, as is 245 Trioxin. Good to see you both once again. W4 says they remember New Millennium. The Fusion System, published by R. Telsorian. Yes. And 245 Trioxin's asking, what's the best superhero role-playing game? 245 Trioxin says they've heard mixed reviews on all of them. You know, I would think index card role-playing game would be a good choice for superhero stuff. I would even say maybe even Tiny D6, because I know they do Gallant Knight Games has a good amount of superhero content for the Tiny D6 system. If you're looking for something that's not going to be extremely crunchy. So Reading Aid says the Monster Manual was sold out at their friendly local game store. Yeah, I had thought about maybe trying to swing over tomorrow to the one game store that's near me to pick it up. I get the impression it's probably going to be out of stock there too, because it's not a huge game store by any stretch of the imagination. That is for sure. Bradley Thorbass, if I've played Star Wars Age of Rebellion, I have not. I have not played it at all. In fact, the last time I played any sort of Star Wars game would have been the old Star Wars miniatures from, wasn't it Wizards of the Coast that did it? I thought it was Wizards who did it way back in the day. That would be the last, tabletop game I've played for Star Wars. W. Ford says they always loved the hero system for Super's RPGs. Yeah, the hero system's pretty good. I got to say, when Hero Games sent me their latest, they sent me Fantasy Hero, and it just wasn't really well presented. I'll be honest. Kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of a mess, to be very honest. All right. Moon Right Along. Arriving next month is Pathfinder Lost Omens Rival Academies. Here's the lowdown from Paizo Inc. The finest mages, scientists, and academics of the Age of Lost Omens are gathering. Journey to a fortress city in demon-ravaged Sarkoris to learn the ancient magical secrets of the Magambia's wizards. Lipidstad's bleeding-edge theories on reanimating flesh with electricity. The extraplanar fey philosophies of the Kubaslari. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing all of these. And the lore of more than a dozen other academies. With so many prominent scholars in one place, rivalries are sure to abound, whether in the classroom, on the sports fields, or during field trips to dangerous lands. This 128-page book gives game masters and players a vibrant roster of luminaries, students, athletes, and wizards to build their very own magical academies. Whether players build bonds with classmates or clash with rivals, they'll gain diverse options like advanced spy master gear, dazzling new martial arts techniques, or new wizard spells and schools, including the remastered Rune Lord. What, from Rune Quest? No, of course not. This 128-page hardcover is landing in stores on March 5th. It's going to carry an MSRP of $49.99. You can grab just the PDF for $29.99. I sort of get the feeling that this book is, well, granted, it's not an adventure book, but it kind of gives me the same vibes as Strixhaven did for 5e D&D. Kind of like, do you really want to role play as students? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Shout Down says they're trying to make Jeff's tongue catch on fire. Gleeman RX says the Star Wars miniatures 2004-2010 fast-paced RPG style game by Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, okay, so it was WotC that did it. I didn't own it. I was at a convention and played it. That's it. That's all it was. I was like, okay. I mean, it was fine. It was all right. I would guess Legion is probably more entertaining. Don't know. I don't know. Sean Donald says, well, if it's Lost Omens, it's meant to be a setting book. Yes, it is. It is. Usually Lost Omens books don't have a ton of gameable material, as I like to say. They tend to be, I mean, they do sometimes. And some will have more than others. But there have been some Lost Omens books that had like very few stat blocks and things along those lines too. 245 Tracks and says they like the system. They just think it's poorly supported. I think they're talking about 5e. Could be. They could be. Reading 8 says the Strength of Thousands adventure path for Pathfinder was pretty good. Sammy reviewed that. She liked that quite a lot. Start off as students, then become professors at the school. Yes. If I remember correctly, geez, what, I can't speak again tonight. I want to say that the players, their characters are students at Magambia's like school, their institution, university, what have you. So kind of cool. Kind of cool. All right, on to our final news piece. The second of the Grimwild supplements is out in PDF from Oddity Press. I've got the scoop on Nevermore. North of Galenvale lies the Nevermore, a ruin mentioned only in whispers. The site was once majestic sanctum to an avatar of undeath. For centuries, it has offered little more than strange lights and faint screams. But something is awakened within the Nevermore. Sinister forces, long forgotten, now seek what lies within. Can they be stopped? Nevermore presents a dark scenario that will test characters' resolve and cunning. I've got a cunning plan, me lord. GMs will find an unsettling necromantic sanctum filled with horrors that push players' characters from terrifying creatures to more insidious threats. Inside, you'll find the detailed ruins of a creepy sanctum stocked with creative undead creatures, and that is known as the Nevermore. There's a rival party. The agents of a cult are set on finding what lies within the Nevermore and are powerful antagonists to give your players a run for their money. It's also an open scenario. Players can explore the Nevermore however they like. The Nevermore is a mini sandbox. And there's ever-present danger. Nevermore ensures tense game nights and provides an optional continuation of Galenvale that ramps up with the tension. This 32-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $10. Like I said, Grimwild is doing really well over at DriveThruRPG. It's very popular. And I thought this was kind of interesting because this artwork that's in this, which it doesn't look like there's a lot, but it looks almost like it's inspired by Mike Mignola, you know, Hellboy's creator. Kind of wild, kind of interesting. So there you have it. The Nevermore. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, even Wargame Vault, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Yummy. And a big thank you to Joshua Edwards, Lisa Watkins, and the Madman who have stopped by paypal.me/thegaminggang this month and made not small donations. Bradley Thorbass, will you be reviewing the Monster Manual? I'm planning on it. It's obviously enough not being sent to me. So I have to go and buy it myself if I want to share a review with everybody. I've already gotten emails from people asking if I'm going to do a review of it. I will say right now, probably. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I will say I will probably be reviewing the Monster Manual. So we shall see. Shanbot V42 and Lenny Blade are hanging with the gang tonight. Welcome. Tessie Trekkie says the Grimwild core rules are mostly free, which is awesome. So you can check that out if you would like. All right. So tonight we're going to dive on in and take a look at the Land of Eem Deluxe Edition from Exalted Funeral. We're going to do that in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Candy is delicious food, eat some every day. Oh, we ride in the rodeo, roping steers and busting broncos, and we haven't had a bite to eat since dawn. We are hungry and we're dragging, but here comes the old chuck wagon with the fiddles that we long for. Bring her on!
Now, I'm the U.S. Marshal. To soft drinks, I am partial.
And this popcorn's good.
My gosh, I say it be. Me like 'em, lick 'em, ice cream, and this ice cream, very nice cream.
You buy 'em, and you try 'em, and you see. Now it's time for intermission, so let's all hit the trail and gather round the sweet bar where these goodies are on sale.
America, you look like you need a holiday. A fair dinkum holiday. In the land of wonder. The land down under. Now, there's a few things I got to warn you about. Firstly, you're going to get wet. Because the place is surrounded by water. Oh, and you're going to have to learn to say good day. Of course, every day's a good day in Australia.
G'day, Paul.
G'day, love. Of course, you'll have to get used to some of the local customs, like getting a suntan at the restaurant, playing football without a helmet, and calling everyone mate. Thanks, mate.
She's right, mate.
Apart from that, no worries. You'll have the time of your life in Australia. Of course, we talk the same language. Although you lot do have a funny accent. Oh, before you rush out to book your Aussie holiday, call this toll-free number for your free Aussie holiday book. Come on, come and say good day. I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
Come and say
One truckload Wilkins regular coffee? Check.
What was that?
Wilkins instant coffee? Check.
Roper, Williams, and Lee, the Deadly Three, penetrate the secret chambers of an evil island empire.
What do you know about Han? He lives like a king on that island, totally self-sufficient.
A fortress without walls, protected by an invincible army that needs no ordinary weapons. This is Enter the Dragon, the first martial arts film produced by a major Hollywood studio. John Saxon is Roper. He was in it for the money. U.S. karate champion Jim Kelly as Williams. He was there because he had no choice. Black Belt Hall of Fame undisputed martial arts champion and international film star Bruce Lee. His job was to get them out alive.
I'm hoping you'll join us, represent us in the United States. You want me to join this?
Roper, Williams, and Lee. Just when they think they've broken the secret of the island, they find there is no escape from the inscrutable Han. Warner Brothers presents Enter the Dragon, where the world's greatest martial arts athletes meet the ultimate challenge with the most ancient and deadly of weapons, the human body. Enter the Dragon from Warner Brothers.
It has been a long time since I saw Enter the Dragon. In fact, weird as this may sound, it was one of the first movies I rented when my parents got a video player, VHS. And we had, we got our membership, and it was like at some, local video store. It was like, oh boy. And I remember I went on a Friday night, and for whatever reason, my parents weren't going to be home. And I went and rented Enter the Dragon. Yeah. And that was the last time I saw it. Good movie, though. Although, I mean, come on. John Saxon. So we're like, okay, so we got Bruce Lee. What is it? Is it Jim West? And John Saxon. Okay, which one of these doesn't fit? Right? It's sort of like, no, maybe I think his name is Jim Kelly, not the quarterback, not the former Buffalo Bill. I think his name is Jim Kelly. He was like a champion, karate expert, kung fu expert, whatever. But yeah, I don't think John Saxon fits in too well. He in fact, him making his moves looks like me making those kind of moves. It's like, okay. And Sarah D is chiming in. She is hanging out with us. Yet another of our chat moderators. She's probably been hanging around the entire show. Forgot to say hello to her at the beginning. But who else we got? Somebody else has popped on in. Smoking Pots is with us. Says, have any run-ins with Dead Game Society? I don't even know who that is. Says, love them peeps. No, I don't. No clue. No clue. Got to remember, most of the people covering the hobby, I have no idea. I mean, y'all hear names here and there. And of course, you know, I will watch Seth Skurkowski every once in a while when I've got some time. But Lenny Blade says, great movie. They were banned from watching kung fu movies after they started hitting the light switches with their feet. They were 8 or 9. All righty. So tonight we are going to dive on in and take a look at the Land of Eem Deluxe Edition from Exalted Funeral. This is written by James Parks and Ben Costa. This set is available for pre-order right now. Carries an MSRP of $150. That also includes PDFs too. So as you can see, there is a lot in this deluxe edition. So we're going to swing on over to the other camera because here I've got it. It is a big slipcase set. And as you can see, just the width of this is insane. So what we're going to do is we are actually going to take a peek at the different books. Looks like we've got a box full of meeples and dice and supplies. Looks like we might have some figure flats, some standees. Also looks like we've got a Game Master screen there too. So first off, let's get the core book out. This would probably be easier if I do it like that. And of course, remember, you can pick up these books individually if you would like. Kind of cool. I like the cover of this. I really like this artwork. I think that's really cool. You know what? I'm going to move this because it's creating some shadow there that we don't want in our way. There we go. That's a little bit better. So it's my understanding that this role-playing game is based on a series of graphic novels. I think it's called Rickety Stitch and the Gelatinous Goo series. Sharon O'Donnell says the Meepo and Mouse Ritter voices, Mouserita voices are made for this game. W4J asks, are deluxe editions of role-playing games for collectors or gamers? I can't imagine bringing a deluxe copy of a role-playing game book to a gaming table. As far as this goes, they're just calling it a deluxe edition because it has everything in the slipcase. So this is the same book as the standard edition that you would just buy separately from Exalted Funeral. So let's dive on in. So it looks like we're going to start off with quick reference and rules. So we have our checks and skills. This uses 12-sided dice. As far as our action resolution, I do believe I remember seeing that. So paper stock is really nice. This is nice and thick paper stock. So we've got our credits page here for the core rulebook. Let's give credit where credit is due. Now, please keep in mind, we are not going to take a look at each and every page of these books. And the fine folks over at Exalted Funeral were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. So keep that in mind. What I'm probably going to also do is share reviews of the core book separately. So I will have the core book, the bestiary, the campaign book. So we've got the basics. So what do you need to play? Well, it looks like you're going to need your standard set of game dice. Okay. What is this game about? Or what this game is about? Land of Eem is a tabletop fantasy role-playing game about adventurers exploring and discovering the remnants of a forgotten age. Players portray colorful, often whimsical characters set against a backdrop of perilous fantasy. As lore-seeking wanderers, fortune-seeking pioneers, and adventure-seeking do-gooders, these characters travel the land of Eem during a time devoid of heroes. Land of Eem is designed to value creativity, role-playing, and exploration. Sweet. Well, it looks like we have some QRCs, or maybe that was just one to download, maybe like the quick start. Here we've got our dice mechanics. So 1 and 2 is a complete failure. 3, 4, 5, failure with a plus. 6, 7, 8, success with a twist. 9, 10, 11, success. And 12 or higher, complete success. So you're going to roll your D12 and you're going to add or subtract the relevant skill modifier to come up with these numbers here. So we have our skills. We have Vim skills, vigor skills, knack skills, know-how skills. So those are our primary skill categories. Then we have thematic skill categories, social skills, movement skills, physical skills, and mental skills. So it says skills represent a specific focus or aspect of an attribute. Players can use any skill, but how a player decides to increase their character's skills has a significant effect. So do we, oh, okay, I was wondering what we have as far as our attributes. So we have Vim, Vigor, Knack, Know-How. And then we have Courage, Attack, Defense, Quest Points, and Inventory Slots. All right. This looks pretty cool, I gotta say. So we're gonna get into our classes. The Bard, the Dungeoneer, the Gnome, the Knight Errant, the Local Chum, or local Loyal Chum, the Rascal. We're gonna get into our character creation. Here we go. Nice little bookmark. So you want to think about a character concept, select a class, assign modifiers to your attributes. So you get 2, 1, 0, and -1. So you get to choose which attribute's going to get that. And then you're going to tweak some skills, determine your other stats, select a folk, which no doubt is your species, select a homeland, and develop your character's story. So here we've got the Bard, And then our special abilities based on level. What do we got? 10 levels? Yep. The Dungeoneer. That must be the goo. The gelatinous goo. Tessie Trekkie says, pick a race and class. Unless you're a gnome, then you're a gnome. W4 says, they always get this game confused with the Land of Yeld. Well, I just reviewed the second edition of the Land of Yeld. Liked it a ton. So here we go. Here's our gnome. The knight errant. The loyal chum. The rascal. A rascal is a roguish scamp, the kind you might find in a band of brigands toiling away at the worst jobs in any dungeon. They do what they have to do in order to survive in a world ruled by the bad guys, and they've learned a few tricks of the trade along the way. Play a rascal if you want to be a sneaky rogue who easily gets into and out of trouble. And then we've got our perks. Some of the abilities. So level 1, we've got Disappearing Act, Sticky Fingers. Level 2 gives us Slingshot and Freak Out. The rascal knows how to push people's buttons. Intimidate check. Once every session out of conflict, make an ugly face or do something gross to scare away or anger multiple goons, a bruiser, or a champion. That must be how our NPCs are determined. So here are our folk. The boggart, the boggle, the bugrill, bugbear, gelatinous goo, gnome, goblin, human, imp, mushroom, quartle, cherub, skeleton, welkin, whalen, and wug. So you can play as a skeleton. How about that? Tessie Trekkie says, gnomes are scary wizard types. Fear an angry gnome, fear one more that takes off their hat. So I think Tessie Trekkie has this. I think they've got the PDFs for this, giving us information about those various different folk. Oh, this is, I think, the locations. Yeah, homelands. The Drippy Downs, Fleabag County, Scallywag Strand, the Dingle Dell, the Underlands. We've got some backstories if you want to roll. You can randomly generate a backstory if you want. Personal quest. Create, roll, or choose a personal quest. During session 0, the game master asks questions and helps flesh out answers. What drives the PC? What are they trying to personally accomplish? Who or what is standing in the PC's way? Accomplishing this goal isn't easy. Name a threat or obstacle preventing the PC's success. It's best if this is an individual, group, or force actively opposing the player character. So we're going to get into our inventory. So looks like we've got item slots. Can take up 0, 1, 2, or 3 inventory slots. And your slots equal to 20 plus might plus vitality. And if you exceed your inventory slots, you become overburdened. Special services and vendors. Looks like we're getting into different items here. Magnificent item traits. My goodness, that item was magnificent. So we got some crafting rules. Finding components to craft things. Like quite a few pages devoted to this. I'll be the first to point out, I'm not super into crafting rules for tabletop role-playing games. I find there's a little too much carryover from video games, and we're starting to see, like all these like almost like crafting mini games popping up in some role-playing games. Myself personally, I mean, I think a lot of the crafting rules that I've run across just seem like busy work as opposed to anything else. So just me, just my opinion here. Looks like this is Game Master facing here. Exploration, running encounters. Here's some conflicts. So a conflict occurs when tension escalates to the threat of combat. It's not to say every conflict turns into combat. In fact, most of the time, players have opportunities to avoid combat. NPCs, creatures, critters, and creepers in a conflict with PCs are called adversaries. All right. It's like we've got some various different conditions. Blinded, burning, entangled, tired. Some downtime. We get into our adversaries here. Creating adversaries on the fly. Adversary checks. At some point during a conflict, if things are looking dire for the adversaries, or if a group loses its leader, the game master can make a mettle check to determine if the adversaries flee or surrender. If they're goons, they've got a negative modifier. If they're bruisers, nothing. And if they're champions, they get a bonus to their roll. It's like a little bit of a bestiary here. Maybe not a little bit, maybe quite a bit of one. But I know we also have the Bestiary Volume 1 as part of this. Tessie Trekkie says, in terms of tone, when they've run this, it's veered between the Dark Crystal and the Muppets Lord of the Rings. In fact, I thought that's what they've kind of promoted this as, was the Muppets meets the Lord of the Rings sort of thing. Nice. So info about running the game, combat, talking about the narrative method, tactical method. Looks like we'll have some options there. Looks like some encounter tables. Well, I got to say, there is a lot of content in here. These are random dungeon puzzles and riddles, magic items. So these are all random tables in these appendices here. Random books. Wally's Waffles and Rats. Here's our starting adventure. So what do you got to, I was going to say, you got to go clear out the rats out of the basement of the tavern. I guarantee you that's what it is. That's it. Oh, that's funny. That is funny because everybody always jokes about, you know, the starting adventures where it's like, okay, killing the giant rats down in the basement of the tavern. All right, so these are the graphic novels. Sweet. Very cool. And this role-playing game is for ages 12 and up. So this is not necessarily designed for little kids. Okay, next up, let's take a look at the bestiary. I think there's like 190 creatures in this bestiary. So getting into our adversary types, creatures, critters, creepers, and classes, goons, bruisers, and champions. It's like we get our terminology. The Blinks. Bogrillian tortoise. Braying saberfish. The bramblebee. The chimera. The cultist. the Draco Pillar, the Dratch, reptilian desert nomads from Shrim who live in groups called droves. They are large, muscular beings with tough skins and powerful tails who value cunning, courage, and the thrill of the hunt. In fact, their droves are composed of warrior hunters whose entire purpose in life is to challenge themselves and acquire great trophies. Among the warrior hunters is a sect called the Drad, which adheres to a deadly code pushing their hunting abilities to the extreme. Members of the Drad travel the realm solo, competing to find and kill the most dangerous prey and take trophies, or perish trying. What are these trolls? Troll dolls? The Etten? Finfolk? The deep ones. Gangster. W. Forge says, Statler, the game is medium. Waldorf, what do you mean? Statler, well, it's certainly not rare, and it isn't well done. Ouch. Tessie Trekkie says there's a mechanic in this game where certain adversaries won't start fighting right at the start of a conflict. The PCs can try to mechanically intimidate their adversary. Cool. Well, I can tell you this is obviously not like a children's role-playing game. I mean, this is more an all ages role-playing game. Looks like we do have some carryover from the core rulebook's bestiary. There's our kobold. Often the natural rivals of gnomes, standing only a few apples taller than their counterparts. Kobolds vary widely in temperament. They are known for their large round eyes that glow like pools under moonlight, and they are covered in oily fur, ranging in hues of dirty powder blue to hazelnut. Kobold adversaries live to harass, trick, and play morbid pranks on other creatures and critters. Using tricky Dwimmercraft, they delight in transmogrification, turning beetles into birds and snakes into bunnies, all for a fleeting, cackling laugh. Funny enough, that is a kobold. That is how kobolds are in like mythology and legend, not like we see in Dungeons and Dragons or Tales of the Valiant, Pathfinder, and so forth. This looks like this is going to be fun to review. We've got the Manticore, the Morb. It's like evil turnip. There's our mushroom. Mushroom folk that dwell in caverns, caves, and anywhere fungi are prevalent. They speak in a high-pitched, lilting monotone, generally do not understand the nuances, social cues, and humor of other folk. Mushroom society is rooted in the community. In fact, many mushrooms do not even identify as individuals, but as a hive mind group, especially in mushroom cities. Aha! Nublins, night fleas, the ogre. I also like the fact that the various different traditional fantasy monsters that we're seeing are different. It's not just the usual, oh, look, it's an ogre. Oh, look, it's a goblin. That's way different. And of course, you can play as goblins. It's one of the folk, I believe, or something similar to the goblin. See Goliath, the shrubling. Gotta say, there is a lot in here. Like I said, I thought there were about 190 different creatures here. Ziggy 7800 Pro is with us in chat. Welcome. The Spongosaur, Squidgians, the Thode, the Tommy Knacker. I almost said Tommy Knocker. Yeah, there's a lot in here. I'll tell you what, there are a lot more beasts and critters and creatures and creepers in this bestiary than we've seen in some other fancy role-playing bestiaries out there. We get some random tables, curses, mutations, terrain. I understand travel and exploration plays a big role in Land of Eem. All right, next up, we're going to take a look at our Sandbox campaign book, which is actually the biggest of the books. The Mucklands, and it is a Sandbox campaign setting. So we've got our different regions. We've got our map. That's cool artwork from the cover. I like that quite a bit. I'm going to move this mic. This mic is kind of like right up on me. Like, all right, let's see what we've got. How to use the sandbox. Getting started. And I believe all of the NPCs are like hundreds of these NPCs. Actually, all have artwork too. So it looks like we're getting into detail about the various regions, points of interest. Almost looks like there's a bit of a hex crawl vibe to some of the presentation there. We have the Starfell Mine. Is there a map to it? I guess not. Just showing the different levels here. Beaselberf. It's like a town. And each chapter, I guess, is by region. Because this is Fleabag County we're taking a look at here. All right, as an example, let's take a look. Shanty Row. So I believe this is probably in that town. A narrow, muddy shanty district. Shanty Row houses some of Bogtown's poorer denizens. Street urchins and waifs beg with rattling cups and hunt slimy gutter snails along the streets for food. Shanty Row also has the highest boggle population, eager to free themselves of the oppressive corporations that run their lives. We get some locations, some sights and sounds. The Shrine of Ogo. All over the Mucklands are shrines of Ogo, mostly hidden in the wilderness. Pilgrims travel from shrine to shrine to pay respects and take a load off. Here in Bogtown lies a humble hole in the wall where Ogo pilgrims visit the large grinning stone statue of, well, you guessed it, Ogo, the ancient frog of wisdom. Travelers of all types are offered food, water, and a place to rest, even when Friar Dola, the shrine caretaker, has little to give. And we get key teachings of Ogo, little information about Friar Dola, and one of the pilgrims, a couple of quests, spring cleaning. There are many Ogo shrines sprinkled throughout the Mucklands, and some of them are forgotten and neglected. Friar Dola marks 4 shrines on the map. Journey to the 4 forgotten shrines, tidy them up, and Dola will grant you a blessing from Ogo. And then Dunner's Big Dreams. Pilgrim, maybe it's Dooner. Pilgrim Dooner believes that the gangs of Bogtown would really benefit from Ogo's teachings if they just took a moment to stop and listen. then perhaps there would really be some change for the better in this town. Help Dooners spread the word of Ogo to the gangs of Bogtown. I don't know how well that's going to happen. Tessie Dranky says there's not a bit of a hex crawl vibe. The game incorporates it into the basic cycle of the game. It's OSR adjacent in that aspect. Nice. Trash mountain. A massive pile of garbage and junk of all kinds. A reminder of the dungeon era's unchecked industrial surge and waste. Not to mention the cultural compulsions of junk mongers to save everything for later. So we got quite a bit going on in Fleabag Country. Or county, I should say. It's Fleabag County. Then we have Quagmash. So we've got kind of a mini dungeon here. The Sunken Castle and the Sunken Dungeon. The Lost Willows. A labyrinthine forest of sickly willows and swamp weed where black, crooked trees conceal prowling predators. The dank, claustrophobic wood is easy to get lost in, hence the name. Few who enter unprepared ever return. And there's a legend that the trees themselves strangle and snatch lost folk. I'm enjoying this. I don't know about you folks watching out there, but this looks like this would be a blast, an absolute blast. And it's not the same old that we see. I think that's pretty cool also, that it's looking like the Land of Eem books here are trying to do some things differently. Probably not reinventing the wheel, but still, I'm liking this. And once again, this campaign is all supposed to be sandbox. So I don't know if we actually encounter any sort of adventure in this book, like we saw the beginning adventure where it's like clean out the giant rats out of the tavern basement. Red Lighter is with us. Good to see you again. Says, I love how they did the art in these books. It does look like a lot of fun. Yeah, it does. I will do my best to have the reviews start rolling out for Land of Eem pretty quick. I'll do my best. Pitchwing's Roost. A hero named Eppley. So it looks like we've got some quests there. Oh, so these are special quests now. Ooh, now we get the history of Eem. Age of Swords. Didn't we just see Age of Dungeons? Age of Stars, Age of Flame, Age of Ashes. Mucklin's Culture. Calendar and Seasons. Something else I'm kind of curious about is what kind of support we might see for this going forward. Which, from what we can see here, there's loads of content. So this isn't necessarily a role-playing game that I would ding if we didn't see something, pop out in the next year for it. Because as we can see, there's just a ton of things going on in this campaign. All right, there we go. So that is the campaign setting book. How many pages did that clock in at? 432. All right, so here we've got this box. It's supposed to have meeples, dice, and adventuring supplies. So I don't know what other adventuring supplies we would have. Well, I guess this is supposed to be our dice tray. Obviously enough, this does lift out. But yeah, I would think you're supposed to use this as your dice tray. We've got our dice. These are our gelatinous goo dice, and they are big. They are chunky dice. So we've got our traditional set. So we've got our percentile dice, 12-sided die, 8, 6, 4, and 20-sider. One thing I have to point out, I wish we would see more companies give you 4 6-sided dice when they provide their dice for the game. And I think there's a little skull inside here. I think that's what that's supposed to be. I don't know if you can see it. There's like a little black blob. I'm going to see if I can get a better look here. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's supposed to be a skull. Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so let's put the dice back. Then we'll take a look at these meeples. So I think that is a rogue. There is one of our mushroom people, a skeleton, a knight errant. I don't know. I don't think that's a gnome. And frog guy. Sweet. All righty then. So we also have some card stock. I wonder if it's the board. I think this is supposed to come with a board because the exploration is such a big deal in Land of Eem. I thought it would be like maybe standees, but I don't think it is. I think there you go. It's a map of the Mucklands. So we have a mounted map and it's pretty good size. It looks like we've got 6 panels here. Sure enough, that's what we've got. Move that out of the way. I'll tell you what, for the MSRP of $150, you're getting a good amount in this deluxe edition. That is for certain. You better look at this board here. And then the last thing we've got is going to be a Game Master screen. So it is a landscape. So we've got this artwork here, which is from the campaign book. So there you go. And then we have got checks and skills, travel and camping, 1d12 random NPCs. So we can roll this, get different names. It's like different like jobs. Yeah, looks like we got different jobs, different aspects of that NPC. Here we got combat. So our combat phases. We have parlay, improvise, run away, and combat. So as far as our range, we have range bands. So we have close range, nearby range, far away range, distant range, extreme range. So melee combat, 1 and 2 is a critical miss, 3 to 5 miss with a plus, 6 to 8 hit with a counterattack, 9 to 11 is a hit, 12 and higher is a critical hit. We also have that with ranged attacks. And then we have our Defy Death Vitality check. Got weapon rules or conditions, types of adversaries, as well as their average courage based on their level, wandering intruders, and treasure hunting. Very nice. And it's nice and thick. This will hold up really well. All right, everybody. So that is a peek inside the deluxe edition of Land of Eem, which is available from exaltedfuneral.com. You can pre-order it right now. I don't think this is out in stores just yet. I don't think Exalted Funeral is shipping this out just yet. But I know we've got some folks in chat who are pointing out that they've already got the PDFs because they probably backed the Kickstarter. So there you have it. Land of Eem carries an MSRP of $150, which will also include the PDFs. I will actually look into maybe being able to provide a PDF giveaway when I do my reviews. Let's see if we can pull that off. Fingers crossed. See what we can do. All right. So that is it for tonight's show. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, keep each other company while I'm flipping through stuff and doing unboxings and so on and so forth. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,100 videos that are here on the channel. It is much appreciated. If you're kind of curious what's going on next week, on Tuesday's show, we're going to dive on in and take a look at Castles and Crusades, Monsters and Treasure Reforged from my friends over at Troll Lord Games. We're going to dive on in. We're going to continue our look into the Reforged lineup. And of course, tune in live because once again, I will be giving away the trio of Reforged books in PDF to one lucky viewer. Then on Wednesday's show, we'll be diving on into Congress of Vienna from GMT Games. And then a week from tonight, I think we might take a look at Tales of Argosa. It depends on what actually shows up over the next couple of days because there are some packages that are in transit. I don't necessarily know what's in them. One of them I do, but one of them I have no idea. So I'm kind of curious what that might happen to be. But as far as next Tuesday's show, we will be diving on in, taking a look at Monsters and Treasure for our Castles and Crusades Reforged. And of course, also want to make sure that I once again mention that the Dispatch is sponsored by Polar Vortex 9, which is taking place February 14th through the 16th. I will be there. Hopefully, if you're in the Chicago area, you will too. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. And if you have a moment, please appease the YouTube algorithm gods and comment on the video too. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. We're a little less than 100 subscribers shy of 15,000 subs. That's pretty wild. But if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell because they'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as this weekend's upcoming review of the Forbidden North, Gods of the Forbidden North, I should say, Volume 2 from Pulp Hummock Press. Stay tuned for that. I'll have a few reviews hitting over the weekend. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Until I see you next time, certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.